Rich, are you trying to stir up controversy because Rolex versus Grand Seiko? Everyone knows they both have a ton of fans. No, not at all. It just makes a really great conversation. Besides, this is my show. Get out of here. See ya. Don't let the door hit you on your way out. Rude. How rude. Let's get on with today's show. What are we talking about today? Is Rolex or Grand Seiko good enough to be our only watch?
Myself. Who knows what dastardly crime he might perpetrate next?
He's a very clever arch criminal who must be put away. Another innocent victim of suicidal maniac.
On that chair. And I see that.
Hi guys, today's coffee is Slate's Under Pressure. This is the first time I've tried this espresso and it's really good. Cheers. We know there's been a lot of discussions and videos on a one watch collection, although having one watch isn't really a collection. But there have been shows like this, including the collaboration I did with Charles Wallingford on his channel, and I'll leave a link below. But this show is being drawn from my real life experiences from this past week, and some of you are aware that I've been working behind the scenes with Ariel Adams from A Blog to Watch, and if you're new here, thank you and welcome. And my point of bringing that up is that I've been working around a lot of new people that I haven't been exposed to before, and lately I've been wearing my Grand Seiko SBGR 097 every day. Actually, this has been really my daily wear. And a lot of people have approached me by saying, "Oh Rich, what is that?" And as soon as they would see it, they wouldn't say anything, in fact, they would just be like, "Oh." And because what the first thing that they see is the Seiko. They don't see Seiko and then Grand Seiko, because our eyes never go from here to here on any watch. And that made me realize maybe a Grand Seiko isn't the appropriate watch to own if it's going to be your only watch. But wait, I can hear some of you already furiously commenting. But what I mean by that is the type of money that we spent on a Grand Seiko. We could have bought a Rolex, or our other options were wide open, but we chose a Grand Seiko like I did because we really appreciate this magnificent watch. But when we spend this kind of money, and Grand Seiko owners, and there are some of you guys who are also own the same SBGR 097 as I do. I think Rational Pragmatist is one. If you're watching this, I know you have the same watch, and you know my mind is drawing a blank as to other viewers who also have the same watch. But we feel very proud of our Grand Seikos, and we feel really defensive over it. So anytime we hear something like, "Oh, it's just a Seiko," we really want to attack that person almost and explain, no, it's not. Not that there's anything wrong with the Seikos, but a Grand Seiko is on a whole nother level. In real life, we don't attack the other people. We just accept it and bite our tongue. And there are a lot of platitudes or a lot of t-shirt materials such as stealth wealth, or under the radar watch, or buy what you want and who cares what anyone else thinks. And all of those things are true, except I think they're more accurate and more effective when the Grand Seiko is part of a collection versus it being our only watch. And what I mean by that is, just like in life, sometimes life just wears us down. We just get beat up so much in life that we almost feel like, is this really worth it? Because we don't receive or hear the same reaction when we're wearing a Rolex, the same that we would. Now, Grand Seikos aren't the only watch that receives this kind of silent or sometimes even condescending smirks.
How do you deal with condescending people? You know the types.
But it is one of the only watches that has a smile for a comment. So for someone else that is coming into horology, or someone that is not as advanced in horology, they also may not know the names like Lange or Philip Dufour or Uhrwerk or Vacheron. So instead, they'll say, "Oh, I haven't seen that kind of watch. It looks expensive." And we can choose to either educate them in a conversation or just smile and say thank you. But with a Grand Seiko, we don't even get a chance to really have a conversation from there, because it's just a smile. Because they recognize the Seiko, they just don't know that it's a Grand Seiko. And Seiko, people will recognize a Seiko the same as they will a Rolex. I think most people recognize a Seiko name even sooner than they would an Omega or even a Breitling. So going back to those earlier comments about who cares what anyone else thinks, because we shouldn't buy a watch for anyone else. But we're human, we're not robots. So if it's between hearing a compliment or having some shade thrown at us, of course we're going to prefer the compliment, even though that's not what we were fishing for, because that's human nature. So the point of this exercise is for anyone that's thinking about consolidating their collection, or if you're just thinking about getting into watches and you want to start off with a really nice watch and you want to be the only one in that room with that watch. Well, I think that's very romantic, super cool, and just very glamorous sounding. But there are problems with that theory of consolidating for that one special watch, because we're going to go through days where it's not going to receive the kind of love that we have for that watch. And even though we might consider ourselves to be really strong and we can take anything, we still have a lot of pride, and we don't want to always put up with hearing those kinds of statements or condescending smiles, because sometimes it's just not worth it. And I can see or understand where there are situations where whenever we're wearing a really nice watch or very exclusive watch, we just don't want to put up with that. And sometimes we can ask ourselves, is this worth it? Why do I have to put up with this? So those platitudes earlier, such as stealth wealth, that's really great if we have a collection, because whenever we start to feel that way, we can just change or go to the next watch in our rotation. I also feel no collection is complete without a Grand Seiko. The Grand Seikos just add so much more depth to any watch collection. Some of you are already aware that the Rolex that I have was given to me by my dad, and I bought my Grand Seiko. So there's no question as to which one watch I would rather have. It's going to be the Rolex, because sentimental value to me trumps all else. But if I bought both watches, would I rather have a Rolex or a Grand Seiko as my one watch? And I would have to say that I'd probably have to go with the Rolex, because not that I want to impress anyone else, it's never been that way. I continue to wear my Grand Seiko and my other watches, but with that kind of money, I get to, I guess, avoid that kind of level of frustration that I could see someone experiencing if they're having a one watch such as the Grand Seiko. Because you don't have anything else to get you out of that frustration into wearing another watch from your collection. This is something that I remember, that the entree is never as good without something on the side. I think that was actually a song by this guy, Fabulous.
The entree ain't as good without something on the side, you know?
And then I would save up as much as I can so that I could have that Grand Seiko and not be a one watch owner. I don't think, if you're really into watches, having one watch in your collection is realistic. And if you can have multiple watches and having a Grand Seiko among other watches, that would be the way to go for me. So the concern in this exercise is not worrying about what anyone else thinks. It's about losing the appreciation for the watch that attracted you to begin with. And the best way to maintain that appreciation is to have at least a second watch. So if we're going to commit to being a one watch owner on an expensive and rare watch, we just have to know what we're fully getting ourselves into. And I wonder if this is what it's like for those of us who have a wife and are married. Thanks for watching, thank you for your time, and I'll see you the next time. It's not that Rolex is better than Rolex. It's not that Rolex is better than Grand Seiko. What was I saying? This is what happens when you don't have a lot of sleep. I'm out. See ya.